Hello! I've been working on the Hyperbole. Woo! So I made that shot. Let's watch it one more time. And okay, so this weird cyber door right here, this kind of iris type deal. I loved making this because all you have to make is one little wedge, and then everything else, you know, all of the other ones automatically update. And so you just add one detail, and it appears 8 times, and it's really easy to make something look complex. This mechanism doesn't actually make, you know, particular sense. I got some IK stuff going in there, but it was so fun that I thought maybe we should do that today. I've had an absolutely wild couple of weeks, and I'm excited to post more about it. Because I hadn't posted for a bit, I was like, I have to make a really good video to post so that, you know, it makes up for not having posted. But then I've made so many videos, and then I don't upload them because I'm like, that one isn't good. And eventually you just kind of have to upload something before you turn into a madman. So let's try to make one of those iris doors. So first, let's talk about tessellations. Tessellations is a pattern where it can fit into itself, like the MC Escher type stuff. Here, I'll show you. If you have a plane, and then you make another instance of that plane using Alt-D. Here, let me turn on screencast keys here. Alt-D. That means anything that happens to this one, you know, happens to the other one. So I'm going to do that a couple times. Alt-D, Alt-D. Yeah, we'll just keep going. And now if we click on one of these and go into edit mode, add an edge loop and slide it over, it happens to all of them, so it keeps, you know, it all interlaces. And we could do more. So you can see how you could really easily make like a pinstripe type pattern or something like that. Or maybe something kind of like, yeah. Like if you color these alternating black and white like a checkerboard, you can make a cool pattern. But what we want to do is this, but in a radial sort of way, so everything fits into each other in a wheel, which is fairly easy actually. So the first thing you have to decide is how many sections is your radial door going to have? Is it going to be like 1,000,000 fingers coming in, or just a couple? So I'm going to create a cylinder, and under this pop-up menu here, I'm personally going to put in 8. And I'm going to rotate that to face me. Yes, I know from experience I want to rotate it 22.5 to kind of square it up like this. And maybe we'll delete this front face just so that we're only dealing with a flat plane for now. Okay, so in edit mode, I'm going to select these vertices and hit J to join them. And then these two. And it also adds this nice little point in the middle. But now we can go in here, delete all of these, and we have 1/8 of the door all ready to go. And you might think we do like Alt-D, so then, you know, it would just all like fit. But we're actually going to use instances, and there's a couple advantages to that. Mostly that you can animate the actual object and it'll move within the instance, and it just makes updating stuff and adding a little bit of variety more easier. So let's click on this, and just right off the bat, let's put it into a new collection. New collection, door wedge, and it pops up right there. And that means if we go to add collection instance, we can just add a door wedge. And if we rotate it like this, like that, we can fill in the door, and anything that happens to this one happens to all of them. Hey, you can make the aperture science. The aperture, wow. So I have that stream of consciousness thing going. And I've been told it's maybe not the best thing. I've been told that by my enemies. Okay, so now, boop, boop. And what I want to do is I think I want the door to actually be kind of like hinged. Like I want it to be like, where part of this side actually hinges down and becomes the new floor. And so here, let's see. I'm going to put all of these in their own collection. New collection, other pieces. And we can turn those on to see how everything fits together. But for now, let's just work with our singular wedge here. So I think I just want it to be able to hinge down. And so in edit mode, I'm going to hit K to use the knife tool. And let's see here. I want this to swing down like that. I want that, so which means this should be about halfway, I think. So we'll just see how this goes. I'm going to kind of just eyeball it, and I'm not entirely sure. My brain isn't particularly good at imagining how things will look afterwards. But if I hit enter here, select this and hit P selection, it's now its own object. Just for a test, I'm going to set the 3D cursor by shift right clicking, and now if I turn the rotation mode to 3D cursor, I can see how this looks when it rotates. And this is actually pretty good. Maybe I'll have it be like right there, so it kind of sticks out just a little more. Here, let's go into wireframe mode so we can see how it's all lining up. Okay, that's actually, I think that's gonna work pretty great. If I raise this just a tad. Cool. All right, so now I'm going to right-click on this, set origin to 3D cursor, and now the object will rotate around that point. We are going to actually rig this with armatures now because I am absolutely obsessed. I'm rigging absolutely everything, and it's a really good time. And if you haven't really gotten into basic rigging, I'm going to be talking more about it. I kind of go through phases where I obsessively get into stuff, and right now it's rigging. I figured out so many other hacks to get around the fact that I never learned rigging, but it's really straightforward and it's very powerful. So yeah, but for now, let's see. So I like the idea that this swings around, and I think I want some sort of other hinge to also, like a piston to be doing something also. Let's see, if we had, like a hinge that came down right there, and maybe like a swivel. So on the old Apollo, the Apollo capsule, they had these doors that were like, I hope I remember how to delete these. Those have blue lines. And it was like a wheel here, and then that would go out to like a hinge to a lever, and they just had this, like 4 times, however many times, and they go into like little pockets in the door frame. So when you turn the wheel, it would retract all of these bolts just from that one motion. Because one thing you find with engineering or construction or whatever is like you oftentimes don't have that many power sources. Like if you ever got a McDonald's toy or something when you were a kid, there's usually one motor going through gears and stuff to try to like allocate that one source of power to a bunch of different stuff. Like motors are a lot of times the most expensive part of a toy. And so if you take apart a children's toy, you can see all these really clever plastic mechanisms to try to get that motor to do as much as possible. And this was, let's see, did I hold down Alt? Nope, that's making it straight. Control D? Nope. Shift D? Nope. Oh no. We're gonna play a game called What's the Hotkey to Delete? Oh, it's right click. I feel like that should be faster. If I hold down Shift, oh, no. Okay, well, that's that. Okay, so yeah, I think I want some sort of piston here. And I'm trying to figure out, would it be better to have a piston that kind of pushes this out like that? In which case, yeah, I think I do. It'll go kind of like to here. But what that means is, let's see, if a piston's like that, yeah, we just don't want it to intersect. All right, sorry, a little bit of thinking aloud for a second there. And I want to try something kind of silly for how this is modeled, and that's doing almost all of it with the knife tool. I want this to be a really thick, beefy door, and so I'm just gonna go into edit mode here, and let's see. This is gonna turn into the floor. This whole thing is going to accordion, so I want this nice flat bit that's gonna be the floor, and then we'll add some strength to it. Maybe like, I wish this were square so I could actually be making it square, but that's okay. This goes down there like that. Okay, we're gonna add another one here. I want to be able to add a solid mounting point for the piston. And if we select this, or let's select both of these here, extrude them out, extrude that like that, and that's kind of a nice way to start making a mechanical thick, beefy door type thing. Let's see. I'm gonna connect these real quick, J, and I'm actually gonna just use the knife tool and, oh! Yeah, actually that works. Just kind of cut like that, so I can really kind of beef up this bit right here. Cool, and I think, honestly, adding a bevel modifier to this whole thing would make a lot of sense, but, whoop. Yeah, that's kind of a nice shape. So what's cool about this is you get to work like an actual engineer. Like a lot of times, if you look at a little engineered plastic bit, do I have? Here we go. Like here's the inside of a battery case. Can you see that? Let me catch the light. Yeah, there's just all of this random stuff in there. Like, what are those details? Some of them are from like the way the plastic was injection molded, but other stuff's just structural. Some of it is just to create extra negative space so they don't have to use as much plastic. Like they have the overall form and they just eat away bits so that they can use fewer plastic pellets or whatever. But one of the things I love is that once we animate this, we get to see like where these objects intersect, and we get to that forces us to troubleshoot, problem solve how an actual engineer would make sure those things didn't intersect, how they would deal with that. And so the first thing I think to figure out is let's make this so that when it goes all the way, it gets snug. Oh, like that's obviously intersecting right there. So I'm just going to start with this. I'm going to add a knife tool right here. And like that. And if let's see, I'll extrude both of those in. And this one out kind of like that. Oh, you can see this part intersects. What's a good view for showing that? If I go into ambient occlusion. Yeah, that shows it. You can see that this part intersects into there. And so let's see. Let's just kind of follow that curve. It's there. It's there. It's there. Okay. And what we could do is just go into here and model, start to try, add a bunch of extra loops and model that, or use the knife tool and kind of cut it out. But let's do booleans. So I'm going to create a new cylinder. Let's give it like 34 vertices. Can rotate that. I'm going to set. It's already was created at the 3D cursor, which is still the origin point for that piece. So if I just scale it up until it extends past this, that should mean this entire thing should just be inside the circle. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so what's the best? I think I'm going to flatten part of this. Swing it out like that. Cool, and so if you don't already have the Bool tool activated, it is an absolutely fantastic add-on. It comes with Blender. You just go Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, Bool tool, check it. But what that means is you can select this face and then shift-click on this one. And if you have a numpad, you can just hit Control negative. And oops, that was the wrong way. This is an interesting problem. That one, then that one, and then Control plus? Let me quickly recalculate all the normals. It could be I'm just hitting the wrong hotkey. I feel like if I select this and then that and hit Control negative, it'll eat away at it. Sometimes also the mesh just intersects weirdly. Okay, this is what it was supposed to be doing. I just had to nudge the Boolean a little bit. And so, yeah, I'll just nudge the Boolean a millimeter and there it goes. That's kind of an interesting door shape. Cool, so I'm gonna set the Boolean to be smooth, kind of smooth out this bit here. And let's start turning on auto smooth for these shapes. That'll crunch it up. If we like this, then we can go in and apply the Boolean modifier that it creates, and there we go. Now we have a nice shape. And now this will actually fit real nice. This might look kind of weird. I've actually done this tutorial like before, and the end result was like demonstrated stuff technically, but it didn't look good. And I was like, well, then what's the fun in that? So we're trying this again, but maybe looking a little bit better. Okay, so here's the problem, and here's what I don't know if we even want to deal with this. Ideally, I want to add a piston to make it look like, you know, it's pushing this thing out of the way. If I add a piston that connects to here, as this point rotates around, eventually it would be completely perpendicular to the source of the piston. So a piston can push like this, but if it's, you know, a piston pushing here is just going to push this part away. It's not going to keep rotating it. So I'm wondering, could I have it like a hinge type thing? Is there something we could do? Or maybe we just don't care because we can just animate this and the piston can just deal. So maybe that's what we'll do. So let's get into rigging here. Armature, single bone. I'm gonna go like this, and where do we want? Oh yeah, we want it still right there on that hovering right over that origin. So this is going to be the bone for this lower bit, and this will be the bone for the upper bit. And let's see, if we go into pose mode, or object mode, we can select this, then shift click on that, go into, I've said this before, I don't always want to say the same things for every video because I know that gets boring, but in case you don't already know this, the way you parent an object to a specific bone is you click on the object in object mode, you shift click on the armature, go into pose mode, or hit, I think, Control Tab, just select the bone you want and hit Control P, and parent to bone, and then you can do the same thing here, boop, and that way now you can animate the rig, and it'll keep the it takes the objects along with it. So I'm going to quickly add some rotation keyframes here, just so that I can kind of lay it out, and as I'm working on it, I can see how everything fits together. Uh-oh, my words are going, you guys. Oh no. So let's, if I slide this down, slide this over like that. Well, those don't particularly fit. I could, So this is where, do I want to cheat? Oh, wait a second. I am a fool, obviously. We have to stick this here at the hinge point. Okay. So now I parent these. Boop. Object mode. Dun, 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 dun. Yes. Yes, that's it. I'm so glad. Or some of you would have been like, oh no, he didn't figure out how to do the pivot thing. But now we add our keyframes here. I think I should probably delete those. They're probably all messed up. Go to frame 20, and now ideally, and that flap we added there can just be the ground. Cool. And if we don't mind cheating a little bit, because we're not going to be able to really tell, maybe I will also animate the location of this object here, just so it'll center. And things are looking a little weird, so let's turn on auto smooth on that. Oh, it's the shadow. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of cool. All right, let's see how this looks if we turn on all of the other pieces. Hey, that's kind of nifty. Okay, so just a second. For one more moment, I want to try to see if I can figure out what a good piston type situation would be. I want to add some random greebles, you know? let's select these. Or here, you can actually, I never do this, but if you have a face selected, then just control click on another one, it'll select all of them in between there. So now we can just extrude that down. That's kind of nifty. You bevel that. We should, again, be beveling everything. But okay, let's start trying to add some random bones here. So in the armature, let's add the start of our piston here. Yeah. I'm gonna have this go down, and then I'm gonna have it go over. Yeah, this will be weird, but it'll be fine. So this will be our IK. It'll be like a leg, and then I'm going to extrude this out, and this will be the solution for the IK. This is where these bones will solve to. I'm gonna hit Alt P, clear parent, and so now this bone is just its own free agent. It doesn't care what these two bones are doing, but it is going to be mounted to this main lower door, so I'm going to parent it to here. Keep offset. I'm going to do the same thing with this one, because it's going to be parented to the upper door. And if I go into pose mode, I've talked about this a lot in a previous video, so I wasn't going to go totally into it, but the way you can now set this one to be an IK for these ones is just click on this in pose mode, shift click on that, and hit Shift I. And that adds an IK constraint. Right now, I think the IK constraint is linking all the way through here, through this bone and this bone, but we only really want it to go through these two. So I'm gonna click on this bone, and under the IK constraint, I'm just gonna make it 2 bones long, this one and that one. And ideally, now, if we rotate this, we have a little IK shenanigan happening, and that's pretty cool. We can see right now that this is pretty weird. And so what we get to do is just kind of like rotate stuff around until it's not so bad. I like that. This is my favorite part, actually. Because it lets you actually like let's see. If we want, when this is closed, can we do it in this mode? So we can just kind of like, ooh, yeah, we can. I want it to line up with that. Oh, that's kind of nice. Of course, now this doesn't make much physical sense, because what would this actually functionally be doing? But you know what? It's going to add a lot of visual interest, and so maybe today we're not worried about all of the engineering. I'm sorry to the engineers. Boop. What I wanted was just something that kind of like, when it started moving, just goes, and so you're like, ooh, this is doing some stuff. In fact, let's see, if we get that like that, put this one out. Huh, that's actually kind of cool. Oh, of course, now this piece will be intersecting with this, or will it? We could mount it right there. Oh, yes, that will work. That will work really good. Okay, so I'm going to turn these bones here into sticks. And let's go to wireframe so I can just, oh, let me see through. Object mode, wireframe. It's not see-through. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we can see that this is basically lined up. I'm going to slide this out a little bit so it's not intersecting with that geometry. Yeah, that works better. And I think, let's see, so here is where this part fits. If it rotates up, we really have all of this space to stick something out if we want to. That's nifty. So maybe we will take advantage of that. Okay. If you click C, it snaps everything to a 90 or 45 degree angle, which is what we want. In this case. Yeah. So now I'll extrude that out. That little bit looks kind of weird, but I'm going to inset it just to add more visual detail. I'm going to inset it and extrude. And you can actually do that with any of these faces, and it'll basically always look kind of cool. Inset, extrude, and look at all that sudden visual detail. That's pretty nifty. I think this piece still needs to be out a little bit. Yes. In fact, maybe we could fix that with booleans. Maybe we'll do it later. We could do the same thing to here. Knife tool. And I'm just going to kind of, like I was talking about with the plastic, sometimes they just eat things away. Instead of having like a giant, 1-ton door, they'll get rid of some notches of the metal. And in fact, I think you can also do that for stability. That's why a lot of times they'll add ribbing to stuff. In fact, I want this to have a kind of fat edge. Yeah. So now select all of these and that one. If you hit I again, you'll inset into each individual face. So let's keep them nice and fat, but then extrude them in. And then let's regret that we made this weird shape, but let's let that shape remind us that we can Control-click to select all of them, because I always forget that. Okay, here let's turn on cycles and see how this renders. Where's my lamp? Oh, it's way up here. Oh, we're working very tiny, aren't we? Get in front. Yeah, we're working quite tiny. Well, that's definitely an interesting... That is an interesting shape. Solid mode. What did we add this piece for? Was that to mount the a piston on? I don't know. Okay. I think at some point I parented stuff and did other things, so I'm just going to reset the keyframes right here. These will be the keyframes. And then flatten this all up. Boop. There we go. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so let's add some really quick pistons to these guys right here. Oh, this is off. Okay, so this could be mounted right there. And what happens now when it goes through? Nothing particularly interesting. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. We get it sticking off the edge. Yeah. Okay, I like that quite a bit. What if we put it like here in the middle? I know we added this whole, I guess we can't put it there. That's in the ring, but that's an interesting shape. Let's do it. So I'm just gonna kind of bash this out with a couple cylinders. Let's do 20 instead. And let's go into X-ray mode, Alt-Z. What's the best way to try to model a piston? Whoa! Accidentally hit 3 without being in edit mode, and that turns off a bunch of layers you didn't expect to turn off. That's rarely what I want. Blender. Okay, so if I do this and then Control-click on that and just extrude out. Huh. Yeah, that works. Rotate that down so it kind of lines up with that bone. And now if I just go into here, I can parent it straight to that bone. This might be a little thin, so maybe we'll do the next one. Let's see, can we just fatten this object up, scaling it up, grabbing these guys and sticking it right there. Let's create a little bolt. Oh. Inset, extrude, inset, extrude. Yeah. Now we're just gonna do the same thing for, actually, let's just duplicate it. Line up with that bone, swing it around, parent it to this bone. Let's see how this looks. Chink. Ooh, that's a nifty shape. So I guess what we're implying, and I think this would actually work from a mechanical perspective, there's a motor going here that's pulling this over. Except the thing is, wouldn't even be a motor. There's usually like there would be one motor affecting, controlling the rotation of all of these on the panel, or it's the one motor that's also controlling, both this piece bending down. It's controlling that too. So the whole thing's just controlled by one mega motor. But we don't have to worry about that because we can just add keyframes and stuff will move. So, okay, all of these little grease pencil things. I thought it was fun to kind of be able to doodle all over, but it's making animations. I didn't expect that. Okay, let's go into GPU and let's try to add some texture here. See if that's kind of cool. One thing you do have to do, if I turn on the other pieces, you can see that it does not automatically add all of these other things to the collection. So all you have to do is select those and then shift click on something that is in the collection and hit Control Shift G. You can add it to door wedge. Or you can just go here in the object properties and under collections, it lets you, say which collections it's in. Or you can select the piece and just, like the camera, drag it under door wedge, and now the camera is in that collection. There's a lot of ways to skin that cat. Let's add just a little bit more detail here. Right there, I just forced myself to go back and do it a different way, just because I'm really trying to build up that muscle memory to just select objects like that. Ooh, that's kind of an interesting. Yeah. This is the random greeble time. Oh. Oh. Inset. 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 Yes. And then deselect some of these. It'll be like a weird proprietary locking mechanism. That looks kind of sci-fi, yeah? Shade smooth. Auto smooth. Okay, so if we want to add, let's see how this looks in a door frame. That's actually looking pretty nifty. Whoa, that's very bright. Ooh, let's turn on the denoising. It actually works really good. Look at this. Look, that's way easier to look at. I'm very into that. Okay, so maybe it would make sense for me to scale up this whole thing. One thing you can run into if you try to scale up the whole thing is you can see it gets weird and falls apart, and that's because you're scaling up these pieces that are in the collection along with the other collection. So it's a double scaling for some pieces and not for others. And the way to get around that is just to turn off door wedge. Remember, these are all in door wedge. Boop. And just use another instance of door wedge instead. And now you can make it be whatever. You can scale it and rotate it and do whatever you want with that. So that's a good thing to know. That confused me a lot back in the day. Okay, so let's see. I like this. These arms kind of reach out quite a bit, and I suppose that's kind of awkward because it makes the gap in the door pretty wide. And you could just, let's see. Hey, this part actually does fill in most of that space. Scale this up. Extrude that out like that. That out like that. I like the idea of part of the door becoming like the the flat bit that you walk, becoming part of the door jamb. If I extrude these out to fill in that whole area, what does that do to all of the intersections? Yeah, that kind of... Whoa. I like this too, that you can just go through the frames and see where stuff, you know, starts to intersect. Like right there, if we wanted, we could just use a Boolean and just take a notch out. And I actually love that. Let's see, let's just do that. Shift click on that. Control negative on the numpad, and now we have our nice notch. I'll give it a little more room here. And I like immediately applying the modifiers. There we go, and so now all of them will fit and make room for the next piston, while also, there's a little bit going there too. Not to fear, Booleans here. Let's see. It's probably gonna work. Okay, so it starts playing, nothing intersects, and we still get a nice place to trip to bash in your ankle. All right, let's see if we can texture this without it taking too long or looking too dumb. I'm gonna try to do a one-size-fits-all material. Hefty door. Base color, we're gonna lean on some image textures and just pop on over into the texture folder, and what do we have that looks like maybe it could be some sort of beefy metal door? We have some actual doors. That would make a certain sort of sense. Dun, dun. Also remembering that anything we do is going to be repeated 8 times, so anything too distinctive is going to be really obvious. And so that's a thing to keep in mind. Let's just try this one and see if it's high res enough to do anything. Slide open a UV panel here. Do you guys remember when I got really quiet for a minute earlier? Yeah, I thought I wasn't going to mention that. No, I do that a lot. It's because normally I edit it out, but this time I think I'm just not going to edit it out. So in edit mode, actually first, let's see what happens if we just select all these objects and hit Control A, apply scale, because that is going to help with the UV unwrapping. If it ever just blasts stuff apart, try to do it. I guess you can do it without. But yeah, select all of these here, and I'm going to hit U. Cube projection just squares everything up. And if I go into material view, let's see here. I'm just going to slide this around and see if I can get any happy accidents. I want to avoid the brick, I believe. And let's see here. I like this piece of metal, kind of. That's a broken window. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I feel like maybe that wouldn't work particularly well over the whole door. I'm gonna use a darker piece of metal actually. I want like a big, hefty, just blah door, you know? Let's see what happens with this. Just want to use down here. Oh, see that looks much better just right off the bat. And we'll select these faces up top here. They're already snug together, and maybe we'll ooh. We don't really have the resolution to be trying this sort of maneuver, but I like that texture. I'm gonna add an edge loop here. Just maybe. I think they'll throw off some of the intersections, but maybe that's okay. Okay, that's a nice material. Let's see what happens if we just Control L, link all of those objects to that same material. Ooh, okay. This one, we're gonna reproject that and just stick it Do you see a round? Oh yeah, there's a bunch of nice little round things. So if like we shrink this down here and line up that with that, then it has a good kind of bolt type thing going on. Same thing with this one. Cube projection. I mean, we could, obviously there's this fan, but it wouldn't make any sense for there to be a cooling fan in the middle of a hinge, probably. Oh, I love this picture of this machine, actually. I guess having it white is a little bit weird. Yeah, that's pretty nifty. Okay. And so now if we wanted, we could add like some more pieces. Let's see here. Let's make that. Make it orange. Ooh, that's the hard thing is keeping it from looking like a flower, if I'm honest, because everything always looks like a big old beautiful budding flower. I like this funky piece. I want to incorporate that here. Let's see what happens if we just kind of go like, oh, whoa, that's very bizarrely scaled, isn't it? Okay, that's probably okay. We'll do a little bit of additional texture stuff here. Let's duplicate this and use the same UV map, but to power a different texture source. Gonna plug that into the roughness, and I just want something that looks a little bit metally. That could actually kind of work. Maybe it's a little boring. It's very glossy, so I'm gonna use a converter on the color ramp, and black is straight gloss, so I'm gonna actually just brighten that up a little bit. And to make sure we're using all of like the texture bits, I'm gonna Control-Shift-Click on that roughness, or on the color ramp, and that's gonna give us a straight preview of what it looks like at this point. So right now, it looks like not really much is happening. I'm gonna darken this, and this will let me kind of dial in and just use the entire dynamic range of the JPEG. Cool. Control-Shift-Click back on the main shader there, and we can see, there we go, now everything's looking pretty grungy. We jump into cycles, what happens? Does it look good? Ooh, it looks quite good in cycles. Where's my lamp? Where's my lamp? Where's my lamp? There's the lamp. Ooh, the roughness is looking pretty good on there. Let's add just a little bit of bump. I'm gonna use the original JPEG for that because it's got all of this nice stuff going on. Color, normal, vector bump. Plug it into the height. Strength is always way too high. I'm gonna turn that down a bit. Dang, that texture turned out pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna put the light up here. I like the door being right above, or the light being right above it, just to kind of really highlight this texture here. That's kind of nifty. If I jump over into Eevee, how does this look? It looks okay, not quite as cool. Zhink. I'm gonna turn off viewport denoising. And so yeah, because I added this little, this extra little, oh, let me select it. Lip right here, they're all intersecting here, and I literally don't think there's a way to easily work around that because they all, well, let's see. Actually, there is? Nope, there isn't. I don't think there is. Which means I might just get rid of it and just not. That depends, up to you. Do you mind having that gap, or do you mind having a door panel that defies the laws of physics? But now it'll actually close. This part looks a little bit weird, but you can just like create a little bit here, and just parent it to like the main panel, like that. Oh, no, like that. And if you don't add it to the door wedge collection, it'll just be the only instance, and so that's why in the in the hyperbold door, I have this big no smoking sign. That's to hide the many crimes which I've committed against physics and engineering. Okay, so let's just bash in the rest of a hallway really quick while we're here, so we have like a nice little scene. Dun, 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 dun. Bridge, edge, loops. This will be some sort of control click. Look at that, I've almost got it. I'm the worst at teaching Blender to people for the first time because I only teach the hotkeys, and I'm just like, it's gonna help you. Select, check or deselect, and individual origins, scale there, yes, go up. It's gonna be, this is main material, and this is gonna be secondary material, assign there, be lights, image. Oh! Assign. Now ideally in cycles that'll be kind of interesting. That light's now superfluous. Okay, let's find an interesting texture for this one just really quick. Sweet textures. Yeah. None of them are sweet today. Textures bare. Let's see what that does. Cube projection. Let's see if I unclick this pin here, I think it updates. Yeah, it updates to the right texture. That's cool. Guess those glass windows are kind of weird. I was hoping I could kind of frame it so you couldn't tell they were glass windows and just kind of more look like a panel, but it does read as a building, doesn't it? But maybe that's fine. Ooh. In fact, let's make it open up into the void of space. Oh yeah, that'll be cool. Make this dark. Bring in images as planes. And our textures, space. Oh yeah, we've got pictures of space. Apollo missions have weird black levels. The Earth, yeah. Emission material. There's a lens flare in it, which is, I guess, kind of weird. You want to match the focal width. Like this is it looks like a reasonably wide lens, and if it's a reasonably wide lens at the end of like a narrow view, that can look kind of weird. So we want to make sure we match that up. And then let's see, let's add someone in there. These materials are actually bugging me a little bit. I'm gonna fix that. Hopefully. Maybe I just can't. Maybe it's the fuse boxes. Oh yeah, that looks more like space, yeah. Yeah. Turn these lights down. Ooh, yes. Okay, now we're finding something, yeah? We'll plug this into the roughness. I want to use the bright part. Ooh. Nope, that's just looking pretty good right there, actually. We'll try to dial it in, but my guess is that's just gonna be, that's pretty cool. Now, obviously, the big wrought iron, look doesn't make all that much sense because it's very heavy, and you would probably not have that in space. But we're making an impromptu image at the very last second here. So, ooh, what if we do a sun? Just shining in the door here. Oh, that's kind of nifty. Cool. Let's add in. Let's save maybe. Door blend.blend. Hope I'm not saving over anything. All right, so we're gonna go File, Append. We're gonna bring in Cybershon. Yes, and ooh, oh, we can make it a very big door. It'll be like one of those, renders where they have the tiny little silhouette. It's kind of cool though. Which way is he facing? He's facing us. He's like, what's he looking at? He's looking over the edge. Okay, let's make it a square image. And let's actually, for perspective, let's make it panoramic. Whoa! And this makes it very wide. Here, we'll zoom in. Let's change it to like a 22 lens. I like this too because like it's reminiscent of the space station. I feel like they use wide lenses on the space station. And at this point, we're just getting a little bit of that weird lens distortion. Whoa. It's cooler without the sun, isn't it? Maybe we can split that difference. It's blocking the sun is the reason right now. Can we scoot this back and then... Sure. Okay, sun, where are you? So anyways, we've got our door that... Ooh, it doesn't seal. It's not a great airlock, but and it opens, and he is sucked out into space. Just let me select. Oh, when you're in panoramic mode, the crazy thing is it's rendering it with a distortion, but the pieces are still here. So this is him. It just has a wide angle view on it. So we can actually chuck him out into space. Anyways, so that was an hour for what's actually some fairly basic stuff, so I do apologize for that. But it was nice to get kind of through my writer's block a little bit. I've been stressing out a little bit about like, oh, I've got to upload something good, as I mentioned. So thanks for bearing with me. And I've got a lot of other stuff I'm really excited to be uploading now that I'm over this little roadblock. So I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.